So we were talking about paralysis of intellect. Last week, how many times the mind was constantly repeating some thoughts about others. Other means anything, any person outside you. The mind said, I don't feel good, I'm upset. No, that is also the paralysis of intellect. If we understand clearly, then what happened? No, I understand it clearly, but still these thoughts are there. So when these thoughts are there, the mind plays a trick. No, I understand. But what should I do if other is agitating me? Again, the paralysis of intellect. We have to get rid of these thoughts. Think of this. So it demands more and more contemplation and reflection. Why the mind goes back to the same stuff again and again? Because it has imagined, it has created an image about the world outside. So even the intellect understands, we know it, but still the mind repeats. And then it rationalizes. That rationalization of any clinging, any attachment, any anxiety, any duality, any conflict is the paralysis of intellect. Now you can think that how long it will take you to reach to the highest state. It depends on you. Choice is yours. What we have been talking? No, I know, but even if you know, then I'm repeating it. What is knowledge of the real self? What is dispassion? What is delusion? What is emotional freedom? What is the difference between the individual and the supreme consciousness? And how to remove the sorrow and the suffering from our life. So, paralyzed intellect causes endless suffering because of the mind. But we should always understand one thing, that the intellect hides, but it never dies. The intellect hides itself, but never dies. I gave an example of a tiger. Tiger can attack only in two ways, through the paws and the jaws. There is no other option for them. We have, I would say, hundreds of options. So when we have a clinging and attachment and anxiety and reaction and panic attacks, can you awaken to the intellect and find the best option that you have? How simple it is. There is a storm outside. We are standing outside. There is a big storm. We find the option. We do not fight with the storm. We move inside the home, close the door, and we are already calm. But if you try to achieve calmness in the midst of the storm, nothing is going to happen. Rather, you will create more difficult situation. My master used to give a phrase that whenever you see these movements in the mind, what you do? You hide inside the cave. Allow the mind to calm down. Allow the storm to calm down and then come out. Because when you put the mind into paralysis, you paralyze the mind. The intellect will awaken. And then we have many options. Now ask a question to yourself. What an incapacity not to use intellect to end suffering. What a great fun. Mockery on our intellect. Mind does not allow the intellect to work for self-discovery. Now, can you understand the statement? I have been living loveless life for 27 years. Not me, you already know. Our dear Bill Gates says. So the mind tries to rationalize and it wants the continuity of clinging and attachment. That is why even after listening, even after understanding, the mind goes its own ways. That we have to get rid of it through contemplation, reflection, and practice. Through the understanding, we can change our weaknesses into strength. Weakness comes from the mind. We can raise our capacity, strength, ability, skill sets by the intellect. Think of it. Do we have a frequent anger, hesitation, upset reaction? Is it the habit of the mind? It is going to give you the panic attacks, and the source is definitely the attachment. We use this power of intellect in the physical well-being. Always use, eat this, not that. Mental well-being, professional life, social life. So this intellect paralysis can be destroyed by listening daily, thinking daily, practice daily. What will happen? The knowledge will shine in the intellect and give rise to the what it gives rise to. Do you remember? It gives rise to the faith. If I ask you, do you know your house? Yes. Do you know your honey? Yes. Do you know your gender? It comes because of conviction in the intellect. And that conviction in the intellect gives rise to the faith. Give rise to the faith. Now apply the same logic here. Am I of the nature of permanent peace and happiness? So when I have 100% conviction reached by listening, contemplation, reflection, and the practice, one day the intellect says, what Gita, the famous phrase from the Gita, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. That faith transforms the mind to prevent any kind of suffering. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So when I have that tremendous faith, knowledge is realized. Knowledge of the real self is realized. So let us go a little deeper into this intellectual journey and how this intellect we can destroy the paralysis from the intellect. First factor is the power of faith. It's not blind. It's not blind faith. We observe. Now you don't say when the tiger is going to attack you, you don't say, okay, I have a blind faith in my intellect. I will save myself. No. It's an active faith. You work on it. The honey is angry. Faith. Peace. Let the peace remain inside. It's an outer situation. No. Let me maintain my awareness. Let me maintain awareness. And the ego says, how dare my honey says this? No, hold on. No, intellect says, hold on. Intellect says, hold on. No ego. Power of faith. In any situation. In any given situation. So the faith means after gaining the knowledge of the real self, intellect is clear, free from the doubt, then it sticks to that idea, that notion, that knowledge. Then it says, ego, what you are doing, you will also react and he or she will also react. Better to change that. I have an option. Intellect has an option. So when you find that you have a choice, you can make a decision. That is the second factor in the intellect. First is the power of faith. You are clear? Yes, I'm clear. Power of decision. Second. Now we have chosen faith instead of mental movement. You're upset in the mind. Intellect reminds you because of that faith. Intellect reminds you, it's not my nature. So what I should do? It's not my nature. You're so casual. That helps you to awaken to the real self and deepen the practice of meditation. Remember, there is a slight difference between these four powers of the intellect. Four conditions, you can say: the power of faith, power of decision, or a choice. Choice of what? The intellect reminds the mind peace is your essential nature. That thought contains the knowledge. That knowledge is being expressed by the mind in difficult situations, in problems, in suffering. Third power. And then you continue with that thought that contains the knowledge resulted from the faith. So what happens? Then now the intellect is constantly inspiring you. Here is an opportunity to evolve. Here is a bigger opportunity to evolve in a difficult situation. If I maintain my calmness, if I maintain my silence, we say silence is golden. I remember, I think it's an American proverb, yeah. Silence is golden. So if silence is golden does not mean that I did not say you anything and now you have been continuously harassing me, humiliating me. That is not silence golden. Understand that clearly. That intellect is 100% available to us. It hides because of the mental attachment, clinging. It can return. Now see, one master, I want to bring about the teachings of another master here. That master says that this intellect has three things. We discussed about the four powers. The intellect should always reflect that I am a human being, and the human being has an intellect, and that intellect can choose the purpose of life. And then it sticks to it. How the mind will become crazy? Think of this. You go to the store for buying a bread, and then the mind says, no, buy this pasta also, buy this sauce also. No, let's have this also. Same way the mind lives and thinks. You are very good, and suddenly a person says something, we are ready to react. Are you focused 100% in the word, what I'm going to do in this situation with this person? I'm honey to another person in front of me. Let me play my role. That is the meaning of a human being. So this master says, Manushyatvam Mumukshatvam. Second thing it says that this intellect can have a longing for freedom from the suffering. If that longing thought is not there for freedom, meditation doesn't succeed. Where I want to go, I should have that thought, that notion, that idea. And the third factor is that if some teacher is there who is well versed with the Eastern wisdom, who is ready to guide. Otherwise, teachers in the Eastern wisdom are always ready to guide, whether you listen it or you don't listen. So human birth, powerful intellect to change the course of life. Mind is not going to change. That is why we have a very famous mantra, moving from the false to the truth, moving from ignorance to wisdom, moving from mortality to immortality. That is one of the most beautiful verse. The second verse by another master talks about intellect indirectly. Did I understand it? Yes, I understood the principle. Did I understand that because of the mind causes the suffering, and the mind has a clinging and emotional dependence on the things and objects outside? Yes, I have understood. Many people return to me and they said, I'm still suffering. So the master said, they are foolish. I think not many friends knows. If someone says you are a fool, then ask the intellect. This word comes from India, that is in Hindi language. In Hindi language, the fool means flower. So when someone says you, oh, thank you. Thank you. Understand this clearly. Situation is outside. My mental interpretation of that situation causes the suffering. Situation will remain as it is. Situation is not going to affect me, provided I allow it to be dictated over my mind. The moment the mind dictates, intellect hides itself and we are gone. In any situation, you look at in any situation, any condition, in any relationship. There is another challenge when we say that I understand but I cannot implement. Still I feel I have a problem. So one thing is clear, the intellect is hidden, the mind is dictated over it. What that means, that I understand but still I am not able to implement it. the mind finds 1,000,000 reasons to neglect the knowledge. It rationalizes. And that rationalizes takes us to the wrong path. It creates a different situation. Reaction, anxiety and anger, fear and panic. Here's another master that is very important to understand. This is what I'm taking out. I am in stress. I can quote that intellect is paralyzed. So quoting that statement in stress, what it means. Did you understand that? No, I have tried hundreds of times, but this guy is not understanding. That's why I became angry. No, I understand. What did you say? So this process of change in the mind takes time. Later on, we repent. We said, don't know why I have said this unnecessary. I can tell you, you might have realized that you became angry, you were agitated, you were upset, you said something nasty, and when you sit alone, you find I should not have said this. Don't you think so? It might have happened hundreds of times. So mind has taken over at that incident and that event. The intellect was paralyzed. So that is why the master says, I can quote hundreds of things. I can go and pray to the God, please manage my anger. It is not going to happen. Manage my anxiety. It is not going to happen. I used to tell in India, the moment you go to the God, please manage my anger. The moment you go to that religious place, the God starts sleeping. Not interested in meeting you. So that message comes because the mind has rationalized, reached to a stage on one hand, and the intellect claims that I have understood. So that's a part of the subtle ego. First thing. Another solution of anxiety, anger, reaction, etc. Oh, whenever you have an anxiety, drink a glass of water. We have hundreds of solutions like this, but mind is still dictating the intellect. I have to go inside. I have to understand that. Now let me take a drink. There is no other possibility. This guy is not going to change. So that guy is not going to change, but why I should resort to drinking? Intellect is a choice. That is the second thing. This master wrote these verses almost 800 years ago. Then what he says, that unless the intellect is clear, free from the doubt that permanent peace is within me, that results into faith, that faith inspires you to continue the practice, and the practice changes the mind. That is the only way. There is no other way. That freedom or success in meditation can only be attained by self-discovery. Without self-knowledge, it is not possible. And the intellect should take over the mind. In my thought, in my speech, in my action, I do it for about a week. For example, you live into that state of faith coming from the intellect. What is going to happen? You are preparing for a higher meditation. Whenever you will sit for meditation, the mind says, I'm ready. That will dissolve and destroy all the factors caused by the mind, results into suffering. I gave an example of, do you remember the example of Socrates? Whose wife was cruel, so he used to return his home with lot of students. And she used to throw all the bowls and whatever is left in the kitchen, and lot of students got hurt, including him. A perfect example of awakened intellect. So after 10 years, I don't forget the name. He also is one of the great philosophers and a master, a disciple of Socrates. So he asked, Master, should I marry? He said, just get married. How come you say that? I have seen you. I lived with you for the last 10, 15 years, and every time we reach to your house, it becomes a battleground. So Socrates smiled and said, you marry, you get a good wife, your life will definitely be in the material world, the worldly life will be better, and you are already awakened. But if you get a wife like me, or a husband like me, whatever it is, the world will get another Socrates. You see the idea. It is expressed in simply a thought. Oh, the world will get another Socrates. Look at the Socrates perception, understanding. That comes from the faith. So who knows how many Socrates we will have. So let us start our practice. Eyes are closed. Eyes are closed. Body is steady. There is another way of doing it, but consciously. Body is steady. Mind is facing within, looking inside the forehead in the space. Check. Are you doing through the intellect with awareness? Start breathing quick, short, and the gentle breathing through both the nostrils. But the mind is focused deep inside the forehead, and you can add one more thing. Let the mind continues to say Shantoham in that space. Santoham in the space. The mind is saying calmly. Breath is faster. Breath is fast and quick. And you are aware. You are also aware of the movement of the rib cage. That is expanding and contracting. This job can easily be done by the intellect. If you pay only attention to the expansion and the contraction and quick and fast breath, the mind will say, I'm tired, not ready. It will stop, it will change, it will cause reaction. So keep looking into the space. There you drop Shantoham calmly, not fast, but at the same time you are doing a quick, fast breathing through the nostrils into the chest. You know what is going to happen? The magic happens. The mind is able to separate body and breath from the mind itself. What will happen in that separation? Do you know what is that separation? That separation, do you remember? It is discernment. And if we continue, there is a dispassion. Simple way. Continue. I can continue, I can sustain. I made a decision. And sustain means I'm regulating mind. You have to do this, continue doing this. At the same time, mind is living within. What is going to happen to the mind? Mind temporarily will drop all its clinging and attachment, even coming from deep subconscious level. Continue, quick, short, gentle breathing from expansion and contraction of the chest, first point of awareness. Quick and fast breath, second point of awareness. Looking into the space, third point of awareness. Gently dropping Shantoham, fourth point of awareness. Continuity, fifth point of awareness. But all are happening in the field of awareness. The intellect has already taken over the mind. You have made a choice. You are inspired. You are doing it. Mind will play the track. It will start jerking your entire body. No more jerking, only the expansion and contraction of the rib cage. Continue until you will see that the mind starts enjoying. Mind starts enjoying means what? I just want to give you a brief idea and understanding. Mind starts enjoying the breath. Mind starts enjoying the expansion and contraction. Mind starts enjoying the focus inside and also the Shantoham. If that happens, you are there, my friends. Check, is the mind enjoying or reacting? That will give you a clue to your practice. Continue quick and short breath and leave this. We have already completed 6 minutes. Oh, I say, oh yes, I have done it. That's very good. And then we can come to being comfortable and carefree. Move the mind on the neck joint, shoulder joints, hip joint, knees, and experience sensation, comfort, and steadiness. The mind again moves from the body. Now you have already separated it. The mind is enjoying that state. So, sensation, comfort, and steadiness. That is how we have to increase the duration of the breathing. Not just, oh no, just breathe mechanically. No, that is not going to help you. The knowledge part, the intellect must be 100% active. And you are already carefree. Start with the niyas. First, have a deep, silent, and slow breathing. You remember the deep, silent, slow breathing is the car, mind is the driver, the space inside is the highway. Intellect drops Om Shanti with an understanding that I am the peace. So first start with the right arm, inhalation and exhalation. Now, what is very important here to note in the Nyasa, as you say as you sing Om Shanti, as you sing Om Shanti during inhalation and exhalation, your mind is absorbed into the infinite space. Yes, it may lead to some vision, maybe a color. It's okay. But the role of the intellect here is increased. Vision, colors, maybe. You may feel the body is sinking or dissolving. A kind of higher state of dispassion that takes place. And you will also find out the mind enjoys doing it. Means what? Neither laziness or sleeping, or nor any distraction is there. Who notices this? The intellect. And now inside the left arm, my friends, intellect knows. It proves the definition of the practice. Practice in Eastern wisdom is known as sadhana. You are leaving what is not desired. What is not desired? The distraction, laziness or sleepiness at this moment. And approaching near to what is desired. What is desired? That space is equal to inner peace, calm. One more step, but more or less until this point, we have our personal effort. And if we continue, if we sustain, what happens? The revelation starts. Real self takes over the meditation, then you need not to do anything. That real self will do. And you will realize that. Oh, is it possible? Yes, 100%. You will discover that there is something totally different, a new being. Now inside the right leg. Shanti. You are singing in your mind. You will find out there may be some thoughts that resurfaces, but now you're not getting carried away by those thoughts. You're not carried away by the laziness or kind of sleepiness. Enhanced awareness. Can I use that word to make us understand? Yes. Internalized awareness. And not interested in any object of the world except Om Shanti. So what it means by the sadhana, which is the word used for meditation practice, approaching near to what is desired, leaving what is not desired. When we drive our car on the highway, you already know it. We see that we are leaving the trees and the other streets and the highway behind. We have that kind of a feeling. Yes, the mind will have those thoughts of craziness, of reaction, of duality, but now they have lost the power to take over you. No, that realization should be there. Then the mind will never complain that I understand and still. Inside the left leg, you see everything falls into the right place. The body remains comfortable and steady. The breath is deep, silent, and slow. The mind follows the highway and the intellect is singing. Every layer is doing its role. What does that mean? Harmony. Inner harmony. Continue. dispassion and discernment both are realized in the breathing step and also in the nyasa. I just gave a bit of it and then we will expand this to understand the deeper journey into the practice. I believe so. You all are experiencing that state of discernment and dispassion. Now inside the spine, from the crown of the head to the tailbone, Om Shanti. From the tailbone, mind rises, singing again Om Shanti. With every Om Shanti, the intellect perceives the infinite space. Shanti. And I'll leave the step we will make our intellect little more subtler. Subtler means so it can find real self is the subtlest. Same triangle in the heart, visualize equilateral triangle, move it either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Remember knowledge, one side, desire, another second side on this surface, action third. So desire for the real self, yes. Knowledge, yes. And then moving the mind with the singing of Om from the center of a triangle in the cave of the heart. Shanti. You said Shanti, and after that, the mind has merged. It doesn't want to do. It's okay. Be there. But when the mind invites any thought, you feel, do it again. Otherwise, one time is enough. You can understand finer movements of the mind that that makes us fall into the unconsciousness which is not there. And even leave this triangle one. So when we understand this passion, means I see that what is changing is separate from me. What it means, I'm just aware. So we are in the higher state of discernment. And what this passion brings us, here is I am. What is changing is not me. Discernment. So there is a separation. And what is this passion? It looks deeper. Oh, then where I am. And you are in a state of doing nothing. In that state, that revelation begins. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand. Still there is a dispassion. It's a name in the form. So, that awareness continues. Means what? The mindfulness state or meditative state continues during the day. Awareness of the left arm, left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Know your experiences, bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. How are you, anesthesia? We don't hear you. Okay. How are you, David and Jerry?
It was very good. It was interesting because there was a storm at the beginning, and I struggled to get the door of the house open. And then once I got the door of the house open, it took a while to get it closed. And then when I got it closed, it was very peaceful. It was just like very clear, nothing, no color. It was just
Beautiful.
bliss.
Beautiful. That's really good. That's wonderful. How are you, Jerry? I'll come back to you, Anesthesia.
Okay, so I'm good. I initially, when we started right off with the deep or the quick fast breathing, I noticed when you brought us behind that with the Shanto hum,
That's good.
that I really stepped behind it. I thought I was behind, but then I really stepped behind with the Shanto hum. And then during the meditation, there was activity for sure. The mind was busy because initially I thought the mind's really content in meditation, but then I also noticed that the mind was busy. So, but it didn't pull me, but I was noticing. So.
That's so that understanding is there. So that is very good. That is wonderful. So how are you, Stephen and Sam? I'll come back to you, Anesthesia, in a moment.
Good. Good meditation. Once we got through the Nyasa and entered the cave of the heart, I was absorbed for the entire time there. Had a couple of moments of forgetting what we were doing, and actually it was just there. And then as I checked it, I felt myself kind of coming out of meditation and realized that my body, all the extremities of my body were cold. And I was like, I felt this warmth within my heart. So I immediately went back there and kind of turned it into a plane of fun. And I went and rechecked again to see if I was, making this thing up and whatever it was. And again, the outside was really cold. So I just got back into the heart and stayed there and had a hard time coming out of it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I think I'm pointing out to all, including David and Jerry and you. I did talk about the personal effort, and when the personal effort is lost, there remains only an awareness. And that awareness is consciousness, that is the knower, that is not the doer. So that realization takes our meditative state a little bit higher. How are you, Sam?
Good. I noticed after the breathing at the beginning that the limbs, everything seemed longer and a little bit farther away today, in a good way, but energetic.
Beautiful.
And everything else was very peaceful and blissful.
I'm very happy. You did 6 minutes of breathing. Nobody is complaining. So I'm very happy. We can go even for 9 minutes. So that's good. How are you, Anesthesia?
Thank you. I'm surprisingly for me good because I've been struggling with panic attack today all day, and I was trying a lot of methods, even a glass of water.
Okay.
And but I felt I was in harmony, and I felt relief, some kind of it was very peaceful, calmful,
Yes.
and deep.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. It's a panic attack because you already know it. She is from Ukraine, so some kind of war is going on. So that is the reason. So how are you, Barbara? That's beautiful. Continue the practice, anesthesia. Yeah. Yes, Barbara.
I'm very good, thank you. When I was doing the quick and the fast breathing, I didn't find it at all difficult, and I didn't find it particularly enjoyable. It was just like a very neutral feeling.
Beautiful.
And then after that, for the rest of the meditation, it was just pure peace, and I just didn't want to leave the meditation.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So I see no one is finding difficult. So we will reach a minimum target of 9 minutes, and then you will see what happens. So we have Vaibhav. How are you, Vaibhav?
Sir, I'm good. Sir, my meditation was like that. In that moment of awareness, I find myself free from what is happening in the mind, which gives me a choice to decide that which direction I can go. I can come to myself and drop that thought, and it is very peaceful.
Good. That is good. That's a good point. You said that I live into that awareness where I can make a choice. If the mind is becoming crazy, I leave it. That's a good point. You're mentioning, so Sangeeta, how are you? अरे तुम आती हो फिर भाग जाती हो? Yes, हाँ.
सर बहुत पीछे था और सर आज तो मतलब टाइम का पता ही नहीं चला और आपने मेरी बहुत बात है.
Yes. Very good. Timelessness. Yeah, हाँ, Ashok.
हाँ सर बहुत बढ़िया.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah, I can see from your smile. Yeah. So, any questions? So, what happens in a higher meditative state? I need not to even think of it, but the level of discernment remains in the field of awareness, and dispassion lives in the field of awareness. So, what happens? That knower, or what we say, the I am, that I am perfectly perceives that this body is doing the activity, mind is doing the activity, breath is doing, but I'm none of them. So you have that level of experience and understanding. That is all for today. I'll meet again. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sangeeta, कैसे हो? ठीक हो?